my friends. Welcome. My name is Shoshana, and I'm going to tell you a story about faithfulness and deliverance. It's a story about a man named Daniel, and it features a special guest, the lion. No, not yet. Anyway, if you know this story already, I encourage you to tell it along with me by doing actions and making noises. I'll cue you when it's time. All right, so now put on your listening ears and get ready to enter the world of Daniel and the lion. Now, the people of God were in exile. Exile means that you're forced to live away from your home. And in this case, the people of God, the Jewish people, were living in Babylon. And to make things even worse, the people of Babylon didn't worship the same God as the Jewish people, so it was extra hard on them. But there was one man named Daniel who had earned favor with the king. King Darius trusted Daniel with the most important jobs. He was really very honest. And eventually, the king put Daniel in charge of the whole country. Well, you can imagine that this made the other people in King Darius's court very unhappy. They wanted to find a way to get Daniel in trouble. In fact, they were feeling jealous. What is jealousy? Well, jealousy is when someone wants something that someone else has. And you can imagine what happens when someone is jealous of someone else's success. It usually causes them to be really mean. So like I said, they wanted to find a way to get Daniel in trouble. So they started plotting. Can you rub your hands together like this with me, like you're making a plan? How can we get Daniel in trouble? The problem was they couldn't find anything wrong with him. Daniel was so trustworthy. The only thing they could think of was that Daniel was very devoted to his God. 3 times a day, Daniel would go up to his room, he would close the door, and then he would pray to God. And he tried to always do what would make God happy. He would never break any of God's laws. The only way that Daniel would disobey the king is if the king told Daniel to do something that would break God's law. So, the courtiers, or the people of the court, got an idea. And they went to King Darius's court together. Let's plot together. So they went before the king, and they said, "Oh, King Darius, you are so wise and powerful. No one should pray to anyone except for you."
We all agree that if anyone were to pray to any god other than you, they should be thrown into the lion's den.
No, still not yet. It's not your turn. See, this is what happens when you miss rehearsals. Anyway, do you think King Darius liked all of that flattering talk? Oh yeah. He said, "That sounds like a great idea. Yes, why don't we put this law into effect?" Well, the people in King Darius's court were overjoyed. They signed that law into effect. And when Daniel heard about it, do you think he was angry or sad? Surprisingly, he was neither. Daniel actually went home. Come on, pretend like you're Daniel going home. He went up the stairs. He went into his room and closed the door. And then he got down on his knees and he prayed to God. Well, the people who had made the law snuck over to Daniel's house. And they went and they looked in Daniel's window and they saw that Daniel was praying to his God for help. Well, that made them very happy. So they ran all the way back to the king and they said, "King Darius, King Darius, King Darius, we saw Daniel and he was praying to his God." Well, that made King Darius very, very sad. He liked Daniel a lot, but the people of the court reminded King Darius that as hard as it can be sometimes, a law is still a law. So King Darius ordered that Daniel be brought before him. So when Daniel was brought into the court, King Darius said to him, "Daniel, I hope that your God can protect you." And then before Daniel could answer, they dragged him away and they threw him into the lion's den. Into the lion's den! What, are you mad at me now? Okay, well, my friends, I need your help. Maybe we can encourage the lion to come back if you pretend to be lions too. So get those big lion roars on, get your lion claws, and start roaring like lions. Roar! 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 Yay! So, King Darius rolled a huge stone in front of the mouth of the lion's den. And then he went home to sleep. And all night, he couldn't fall asleep. He was so worried about Daniel. As soon as the sun rose the next morning, he ran back to the lion's den. And he had them roll away the stone. And he cried out, "Daniel, has God rescued you from the lions?" And then he listened. And you know what? Daniel's voice answered him. And Daniel said, "Yes, King, God has spared me from the lions. He had an angel come down and protect me by closing their mouths because I hadn't done anything wrong." So the king ordered that Daniel be brought out of the lion's den. And when they took him out, he didn't even have a scratch on him. And then King Darius said, "You know, we should cancel that law. Anyone can pray to whatever God they want." And in fact, he encouraged them to pray to Daniel's God because Daniel's God had protected him from the lions. Now, this story teaches us that sometimes we get in tricky situations, especially when doing the right thing could get us in trouble. I've been in that situation. I'm sure you have too. And Daniel was, definitely. But you know what? Daniel's faith in God never wavered. And because Daniel was faithful to God, God was faithful to Daniel. He delivered him and protected him. There's many stories like this in the Bible, my friends. Many other stories of God protecting his people in times of trouble. Well, thanks for joining us today. I hope that you'll come back next week for our next story time. Shalom.